If you have even a passing interest in Greek gods and monsters, A Total War Saga Troy is likely to interest you. Much like the Greek god Heracles, it's gone on a legendary journey and now finds itself releasing on the Epic Games Store for free in the first 24 hours. And at that price, it's worth it for everyone to check the game out. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the new Divine Will system and is how you'll be interacting with the divine Pantheon of Homer's Iliad. In-game, you can commune with the gods by clicking the representation of Mount Olympus on the top UI bar. This brings up a new panel where the entire Greek pantheon is represented. The Mycenaean and Trojan factions both worshipped roughly the same pantheon, so the same panel is used for all factions. You gain the favor of the gods in Troy by sacrificing to a deity of your choice. By clicking the prayer button, you'll sacrifice some of your resources to gain divine favor, while the hecatomb, which traditionally meant the sacrificing of 100 oxen, in this case just means you'll sacrifice more resources for increased gain. These divine points unlock 3 levels of buffs and abilities at 50, 200, and 350. The first god, or should I say goddess, that you can sacrifice to is Hera, the queen of the gods and the wife of Zeus, and held domain over the home and hearth as well as marriage and birth. This is represented in game by her first tier military service, which encouraged young men to go and fight in defense of their homeland, and adds 20% missile damage to slingers and reduces recruitment costs for armies in lands where you hold sway. Her second tier of god favor, Flourishing Homeland, reduces construction time of all buildings, means you need less wood to construct things, and encourages growth in your provinces. While level 3 invokes the divine protection of Hera. Casualties will replenish 20% faster in all your armies, and any armies in home territory will have 30% more morale, as well as unlocking the elite Corybantes, Greek warriors who would dress in full armor and then dance and praise to their goddess. Though interestingly, it wasn't Hera they praised, but Cybele, an Anatolian mother goddess separate from the Greek pantheon, who was esteemed and worshipped by the citizens of Troy. Like Hera, Cybele was considered a mother goddess and is roughly analogous, though during the period she was recognized as a distinct deity. Regardless, you can expect the Corybantes to be a hard-hitting, fast infantry unit who will likely be the best swordsman in the game. And this will be true of every unit gained through the Divine Will system, where each is meant to be the ultimate representation of their class. This final level of worship also unlocks the prayer to Hera, which causes additional attrition damage to any invading armies, and is enacted by sacrificing 20 gold and 400 wheat. Next up is old thunderbolts and lightning himself, Zeus, father of the Pantheon and countless illegitimate children, whose first level of praise, unlocked at level 50, is the might of the thunderbolt, and rightly increases the missile damage of javelin units as well as allowing people to hit things with clubs harder, as his son was Heracles. As the often absent father of heroes, he also has a 50% recruitment cost to heroes and agents on your map, granting the Messenger of Thunder trait to any newly recruited units and Descendants of Zeus trait to any new heroes, both of which will undoubtedly provide stat buffs in battle. And at its third level, the Regal Presence of Zeus, you'll gain happiness in all your provinces for every defensive or military alliance you have, and also gain 1 influence for each of them as well, since Zeus initially wanted to stay neutral in the Trojan War and just wanted everyone to get along. And finally, you'll unlock the unique Minotaur unit, a hard-hitting single-entity monster who was actually created when Poseidon cursed a woman to fall in love with a bull, though Zeus did also turn into a bull that one time he was feeling especially horny. The prayer to Zeus gives you +5 to deal evaluation for all diplomatic agreements and barters, meaning that we can expect a return of the much-lauded Total War 3 Kingdoms diplomacy system. The Cult of Ares focuses on the god of war. Tier 1 unlocks the Eager to Fight buffs, which allow you to recruit an extra unit in every province and gives 40% additional morale to sword and axe units in your armies. Tier 2 is a Delight for Violence and gives 50% additional income to raiding, looting, and sacking, an additional 40% melee attack to sword and axe units, and 1 extra happiness to every province for every war you're fighting. While Tier 3 unlocks Panic and Terror, named after the twin brothers Deimos and Phobos, the sons of Ares and Aphrodite. In-game, all your units will charge 20% harder, and all hero units will frighten enemies in battle, causing fear around them, as well as unlocking the unique Spartoi unit. who in myth were created when a dragon sacred to Ares was killed and its teeth were planted in the ground, but instead of crops, heavily armed, ferocious men grew in their place. So expect them to be heavy axe or club infantry to capitalize on what makes worship to Ares so appealing. And the prayer to Ares reduces the morale of any enemies you face by 10%. The cult of Apollo worships the god of healing, medicine, archery, music, poetry, and the sun, which must have left him quite busy, and is best remembered as the god of the oracles of Delphi. His oracles were the epitome of prophecy and piety, which is why his tier 1 is called piety, and allows the unlocking and recruitment of priestesses in all provinces, as well as a 10% cost to the reduction of temple buildings. These priestesses act as unique hero units on the campaign map and can either be used to buff your own territories and settlements or be used in aggressive actions against your enemies. When the cult of Apollo becomes celebrated, you'll unlock the Lord of the Silver Bow, which adds an additional 20% range to archer units and allows them to reload 15% faster. When we think of bows in ancient Greece, typically we think of Apollo's twin sister, Artemis, goddess of the hunt, but Apollo was the lord of the usage of the bow in battle. His tier 3, Light of Phoebus, refers to his epithet as the god of light. This final tier halves the cost of all agent actions and increases the administrative efficiency of all royal decrees by 25%, as well as unlocking the unique Seers of Apollo. These special hero units are unique in that their hero actions will always succeed with critical effects. But because of this, you can only use each recruited seer once. After their mission, they'll be removed from the map. Prayer of Apollo can be enacted to make your basic agents 20% more likely to succeed, and also gives additional line of sight around any of your temples of Apollo, implying that you can gain favor from the gods by building a temple to their specific persons in your main cities. The cult of Athena focuses on the goddess of wisdom, skilled crafts, and warfare. Always portrayed with a shield and spear, it's no surprise that Athena also gives morale to spear units, and reduces the fatigue they would normally take when defending cities. As a recognized mentor of heroes, she gives +4 ranks to any recruited heroes, as well as 40% additional melee attack to spear units, and an additional 40% melee defense to any shielded units. While at level 3, she makes all heroes unbreakable in battle so they will never run, and gives any units around them an additional 30% morale. But tier 3 is called Gorgonion because of Athena's history with the Gorgon Medusa, a beautiful priestess of Athena who broke her vow of celibacy with Poseidon and was cursed to have the hair of a snake and eyes that would turn anyone that looked into them to stone. Which is especially messed up since Poseidon didn't give Medusa a choice in the matter. In-game, this epic agent reduces the movement of enemy armies, reduces the morale, battle speed, and campaign movement of any targeted army, or can be used to attack the garrison of enemy settlements, instantly killing a third of the garrison, while the Prayer of Athena allows you to recruit more units in every province at a higher unit rank. The cult of Poseidon, Lord of the Seas, focuses on everything ocean and boat related. Level 1, the Call of the Sea, increases your campaign movement range while embarked, and also reduces enemy siege holdout time, as the Trojan horse in the Iliad was mistaken as a votive offering to Poseidon for a safe journey home, as horses were sacred to the god, as there are many stories where he turns into one and does non-consensual activities. Level 2, the Riches of the Sea, means you get 40% more treasure after battle and plus 60 food for every owned coastal region, which based on Troy's map will be most of them. Level 3, the Blood of Poseidon, reduces the fatigue for mythic mounted and chariot units in battle and gives 30% additional morale for those same horse-mounted units for aforementioned reasons. It also unlocks the giant club-wielding Cyclops unit, a child of Poseidon himself, while the Prayer of Poseidon makes you immune to deep-sea attrition and increases the speed of any horse-based units in your armies. And finally, the cult of Aphrodite worships the goddess of love, beauty, and procreation. Her Tier 1, Love All the People, gives you an additional 10 diplomatic relations with all factions, and doubles the effects of the Organized Games commandment, which I read as orgasmic the first time I recorded this. Tier 2 is called the Golden Apple, which also happens to be the inciting incident of the Trojan War, when a golden apple was presented to Zeus to pick between the most beautiful goddesses of Olympus, and knowing better than to try and do that, he gave it instead to Paris of Troy. Each of the goddesses then tried to bribe him. Athena offered him wisdom and skill in battle, Hera offered to make him the king of Europe and Asia Minor, and Aphrodite offered to give him the love of the world's most beautiful woman, Helen of Sparta. Cue 10 years of conflict. But in the game, worship of Aphrodite gives you an additional 50 growth, and every non-aggression pact you have increases the happiness of your settlements. And you also capture more people at the end of every battle, though I'm not really sure why that one's there. Tier 3, the Invisible Guardian, reduces the likelihood that enemy agent actions will succeed against you, while also increasing the damage resistance of your heroes, while also unlocking the Satyr Epic Unit, a ribald traveler who enjoys wine, music, dancing, and women, preferably all at the same time. Satyrs, and by extension the god Pan, are often described as the children of Aphrodite, since they're all fertility gods. And the leg-humping goatmen are especially connected with this guy. There is no reason to include Priapus here, I just think it's one of the funniest paintings I've ever seen in my life. And that's the gods and goddesses of the Pantheon available to you in Total War Troy, which releases to the Epic Games Store on the 13th of August of this year for free for the first 24 hours. I'll be going over each of the heroic factions in the game as we get closer to release, so make sure to subscribe if you'd like to hear more about them. And as always, thanks for watching.